All right, good morning.
Sure.
We are here for the Marion County Board of Commissioners Wednesday board session. It's June 18th, 2025. It's 9 a.m. and we're in the Senator Hearing Room at 555 Court Street Northeast in Salem. And if you would, please stand and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we don't have anybody signed up for public comment today, so Commissioner Cameron, would you move the consent agenda, please?
Oh, Madam Chair, that's 2 weeks in a row. Last week was a lot longer.
I know
though.
you're on the wrong side, by the way.
Is my microphone on? Yeah, there we go. Well, they put me over here today so that we would balance out the logo.
Oh, I see.
That's what they told me. So I do, you know me, I do what I'm told
Yes.
most of the time. Madam Chair, I would move the consent calendar under Board of Commissioners Board Committee appointment for Public Safety Coordinating Council, approve orders reappointing Colin Willis as Marion County Commissioner Representative and appointing Lieutenant Jameson, was that Goetz?
Goats?
Yep, as the Oregon State Police Representative to the Marion County Public Safety Coordinating Council with terms ending June 1st, 2028. Under Business Services, approve an order adopting revised Marion County Administrative Policy Number 515, Procedure 515-A and 515-B, Court Facility Security. Under Public Works, received notice of a hearings officer's decision denying conditional use, case 25-0110, Susan Malak.
I'll second the motion. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, the motion passes. And we have one item under action today for Public Works to consider the adoption of the Marion County Transportation Safety Action Plan. Good morning, Carl.
Good morning, Commissioners. For the record, my name is Carl Lund. I'm the traffic engineer here with Marion County. I'm here today seeking acceptance and approval of the Marion County Specific Transportation Safety Action Plan. This plan will develop and develops a list of items that make it easier for us to apply to grants. They open up grant possibilities for us and give us direction on what to apply for and safety measures to take. So in this plan, we developed a high injury network location list. It includes McKay, Jurgen Ellen, which is currently our safety corridor, Silverton Road, Corden Road, Northwest Avenue in Staten, Golf Club Road, River Road, and State Street from Cascade Highway to Corden Road. The intersections in the high injury network that we've identified are Silverton Road at Howell Prairie, Silverton Road at 81st Avenue, which is not far away from Howell Prairie, McKay Road at French Prairie Road, and Brook Lake Road at River Road. So for each of these high injury networks, we've developed a list of countermeasures that are possible. But overall, we've also looked at Marion County crashes as a whole. We've developed a number of focus locations, but I'm going to highlight two today, or focus items. I'm going to highlight two today.
Madam Chair.
Yes, sir.
Carl, can you go back to that slide?
Certainly.
Maybe I missed it. EPDO.
Oh, equivalent property damage only crashes. So that's, so when the state is calculating the societal and economic cost of a crash, a fatal crash has a significantly more, has a significantly higher impact to.
It's things, not people.
Correct. So a property damage only crash is, it has a certain cost just to the property. A fatal crash has a cost to both the people and the property.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
So one of the items that was identified as a major crash type in Marion County is lane and roadway departures. So just under 40% of our crashes in Marion County are lane and roadway departures, but just over 60% of our fatal and serious injury crashes are lane and roadway departures. So 80% of these are crashes where vehicles leave the road, and 80% of the fatal ones, are crashes where vehicles leave the road and run into a fixed object, whether that's a tree, a mailbox, a fence, you name it, something that's on the side of the road. And so when you,
Would that include crossing over the lane and hitting somebody else head on? Would that be a
yes,
lane?
that's 20% of them.
Okay, but
and
that would be a lane or roadway departure.
Correct,
Okay. Even though they're still on the road, they're going the wrong way.
correct. They left the lane and,
Right.
and are in a less safe location. So when you hear, so there's two ways to address these. One is to help vehicles stay in their lane, stay on the road. So when you hear us talk about widening lane lines, adding rumble strips, adding chevrons, these sorts of things, this is the type of crash we're trying to prevent. When you hear us talking about clear zone, it's when a vehicle has left the road and we're trying to create a safer space for the vehicle to either come to a stop or find their way back to the road. Another common crash type, and this is sometimes related to lane and roadway departures, is impaired drivers on rural roadways. This is a more difficult type of crash to address because I have no control over other people's behavior. People choose to either drive intoxicated or drive impaired. And what we can do is try to influence them, either through education, and you can see one of the countermeasures here at the bottom right is to promote educational transportation safety campaigns, and the effectiveness is unproven and needs further evaluation. And this is because it's difficult work. And the county, I believe, we're finding it's difficult also in the health side too, dealing with people who struggle with drinking and other intoxicants. So Marion County recently accepted funding from the state to work on this, and so we are going to be doing a number of listen and learn sessions to try to get into the communities who are drinking and driving or speeding and understand how they're thinking so that we can better encourage people to not drink and drive or not drive impaired. So for the last slide, normally this is an earlier slide in these sorts of presentations, but I feel like it's a good way to end. So the FHWA, they've recently adopted what's called the Safe Systems Approach.
Which is whatever you just said, FHWA.
Federal Highway Administration.
Thank you. I mean,
Yes.
I think I knew that, but, the media in the back room's laughing at me because I'm asking.
Okay. There's all sorts of acronyms at the federal level.
Yeah,
People, if there's anybody watching, they need to know.
I know.
Yeah.
I'm like, what?
Yeah, so the FHWA, Federal Highway Administration, recently adopted the Safe Systems Approach. And this is an approach that was initially developed in Sweden and the Netherlands. And the basic theory is that ideally there would be zero fatal or serious injuries on the road, that humans make mistakes. We're not perfect. We will make mistakes on the road. We see that regularly. Over the years that were studied, we saw 2,066 reported crashes in Marion County. Another big part is that humans are vulnerable, meaning the human body can only take a certain amount of energy into it without getting injured or killed. And so it's these sorts of things that it addresses, and it tries to work to educate, create safer drivers, safer pedestrians, safer bicyclists, create safer vehicles. So this really isn't something that we can do on a county level, but it's done on a manufacturing and federal level. Safer speeds, so working to make sure that the speed limits are correct, that people are driving safe speeds on the roads. Safer roads, so like adding chevrons, adding different things like that. And post-crash care, so working with first responders to try to make sure that people, if they get into a crash, receive that first aid that they need as quickly as possible. And that is the end of my presentation.
Okay. Do you have any questions?
Probably more of a comment than a question. I wrote down, of course, you're an engineer. Engineering, education, and enforcement. And I think there was one more.
Yeah, engineering, education, enforcement, and
I remember former Sheriff Jason used to always, because whenever we were talking to people, in the community, enforcement's usually the last thing, educating people. Engineering, like things that you could do that you have control over to help people stay safe. just the comment we got yesterday that I forwarded to you about the speed camera or whatever.
Yes.
That was, we had a speed camera over on Delaney, I think, in Turner, and Mayor Schaffler texted me and said, hey, how come that thing is gone? Why did they take it out of there? And in other words, he'd like to see it there all the time, right?
Yeah.
And there are some of those signs I know, I think I was in Bend, was it over in Bend this week, where it said, good job, where it actually flashed back at me because I was probably, I don't know.
Was it the one on the pole, though, that's like permanently there,
Yeah.
solar powered? Yeah, they haven't been
It
banned.
says good job, right? So those are the kinds of things that you can engineer, as well as it helps educate me that I'm going the right speed. But the last one is, and it's amazing because we've been getting these reports on the enforcement, the amount of tickets that are being written for people going over 100 miles an hour in construction zones. That's just,
Stupid.
yeah, I'm looking up there and go, well, where's that fit in here?
It's where we're trying to get folks to drive in a safer way.
Yeah.
It's difficult.
Yeah. And then this morning when I was, because I came down from the lake and was driving out at our place out at Illahee, and I turned the corner and I looked at my speedometer, it's going 20, and this guy's walking his dog off the sidewalk, and he's going like this. And I looked at Vicky, I go, I'm going 20. But it felt like to him like I was going really fast, right? And there is that perception of the surroundings that you're in a a neighborhood or whatever. And the guy's got his dog off the leash. He's probably worried about his dog jumping out in front of me, so he needs to be safer. Put his dog on the leash.
Yeah, those are sad calls that I get when I get a call about someone who's lost their dog or cat because they've been hit by a vehicle.
So, Carl, what about the safety action plan? Where does it go from here? Can you talk, I mean, this is good stuff that you've got in here. Can you talk about how we use this within Marion County in our engineering and planning and grants, et cetera? Can you share
Certainly.
a little bit about, we do have that much time, I mean, unless you wanted to make a record out of it.
I've still hold the record for the fastest meeting.
Yeah.
Certainly, we can
No,
discuss
I think
that.
it's good information for the public to have.
Right.
Well, before you jump into that, I think, while this presentation is pretty brief, how long have you been working on this?
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
We started working on it basically when I got here, which was 3.5 years ago.
Right. So I think what people need to know is that this isn't something like you woke up one day as a traffic safety engineer and said, oh, I'm going to try to make the lives of people around me difficult. This is 3.5 years worth of work of studying, conversing, interacting with the board, looking at systems, and finding the roads in our community that have the greatest impact in the most negative way, and trying to achieve funding to improve those spaces. And this is the pathway to that funding.
That's correct.
Yeah.
In order to obtain funding, we have to have a project in a plan.
You mean the government just won't write you a check and say good luck, Carl?
No.
Come on. There's a guy on your Facebook page yesterday that was lighting you all up over the Mill Creek Bridge and how all you do is pave roads and steal money. And I thought, you know what? Today's going to be a great day to prove that wrong.
So,
go ahead.
going into how this addresses the future in the planning. So, the last appendix in this plan is a series of scoped out projects which will address these high injury network locations and a few others. It includes the basic concepts of what will be done. It also includes the cost estimates. And so we have a good level to say, okay, this grant will provide X amount of money. These are the projects that are available that would fit within that. And it provides a good foundation for obtaining grants and funding.
So for example, on the intersections of Brook Lake Road and River Road, I don't really understand the numbers per se. I mean, I get that those are per mile, but I don't understand what the numbers mean. But also, just to call out Brook Lake at River Road, which, while I believe that there are for sure traffic incidences there, it's mostly an issue of congestion. There's, during peak times of the day, there's people waiting for miles to try to come through that. What does this plan do to help improve all of that?
It So there's a fascinating thing with congestion and safety.
Yeah.
And that is that as people become more frustrated,
Yep.
they make quicker and often less wise decisions. And so one of the safety things that we can do here is improve that congestion. And so there's a plan, I believe it's for a traffic signal and for a roundabout in terms of funding.
One of those options.
One of those options, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, when you look at the appendix in here, you've got, I mean, this is a 121-page plan, but when you get to the meat of it in the appendix, like Hazel Green Road, which we talked about, Hazel Green and Corden, it's in here. We've got it on SCAT's list for planning, and it all kind of flows together, but there's a engineer's estimate in here, construction cost of 15 million and engineering and design of another 4, so a total project of 20 million for that intersection over there. So by the time we get to these projects, obviously these numbers will change, but Carl, is there a total, I'm looking for it, because is there a total of the priorities in here, a total dollars?
We didn't put that together, but it is in the hundreds of millions. I think,
Yeah.
Or above 100
So
million.
that's my point. If we were to do all the things that we would like to do, first off, the capacity to do it, and then the financing to do it would be the other issue. It'll be interesting to see what comes out of the legislature, if anything, on a package that would improve our numbers. The big package that I looked at the other day was like 21 million a biennium more, I think, is what Brian had shared with us. That was just that original package.
Just what's in here is approximately $127 million.
Just looking through
Just
it.
of the appendix, what you put in here.
Yeah,
It's,
Yeah.
I mean, and I think people just don't realize, and I had no idea before I was a commissioner how expensive roads are. I had no idea.
and that number doesn't include all the bridges that
No.
we've got to repair.
And
that
or any
are
of the other
behind.
roads
Yeah.
that we have to repair. These are just the priority safety
This is safety.
sections.
Safety.
It's not maintenance or maintaining the condition of the roads. This is just safety projects.
Yeah.
So good that it's in here, every 10 years, right? Or 20? When's the last time we updated this?
This is the first transportation safety action plan that Marion County has done. So upcoming is a new transportation system plan.
Right.
For the rural area.
Which
and
is done
that's
like
every 20 years.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I was thinking. All right. All right, you ready for a action item here?
I am.
Okay. Madam Chair, I will move that we adopt the Marion County Transportation Safety Action Plan.
I'll second the motion. Is there any further discussion? I just want to say thanks for your work.
Good work.
And for being an employee here. We're
Thank you.
grateful to have you.
I'm happy to be here.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Of him being a great employee?
All the things. I mean, we didn't pass the motion yet. I was just discussion.
Okay. Aye.
Aye. I can keep track of these meetings. Watch out. All right. Thanks, Carl.
Thank you.
Yep.
Commissioner, do you have anything for the record you would like to add?
No,
I do.
you've been busy.
I've been busy.
We were on meetings all day yesterday, but you were over in the legislature Monday, weren't you?
I've been at the legislature twice in the last week. I testified last week as a neutral / frustrated commissioner of Marion County on the transportation package because I do not support at all the increase in taxes and the way they want to spend it. And told them that I appreciate that they listened to us and maintained the 30% allocation for counties, the formula, but everything else in it needs to go back to the drawing board, and they should have counties more at top of mind for those conversations. And then on Monday, I testified neutral / opposed to House Bill 2005, which is the combination of civil warrant, civil commitment, and aid and assist. And just declared that they're not listening to counties. We're the boots on the ground, local mental health authority, and shared the unfortunate situation that happened at the UGM as a result of the failed system, and tried to explain to them again that in their current plan, which is essentially a ratification of the Mossman order, they're going to bring people in through our jail into the hospital for these arbitrary timelines that are very short, then push them into community restoration, which is our responsibility, with arbitrary timelines that are shorter.
It's been happening.
No, yes.
And they want to codify what's happening.
Except for the community restoration piece has not been forced as far as a reduction. That's not an equitable, person-centered model. And so I was trying to explain to them, and I spent some time with Rep. Bowman before the meeting, just describing the uniqueness of each individual that we're navigating in community restoration and the challenges that we face with placement, system availability as far as services, et cetera. And their response to me was, we are under a contempt order. And I said, I don't care. The fact that you're under a contempt order doesn't mean that you forego the safety of human beings. And this bill forgoes the safety of human beings, public safety-wise, the individuals. And also I asked them where they want me to place these people. You move them out of the hospital, you push them into community restoration, which means our capacity in community restoration will go up. We don't have enough beds, and in our CFAA, there's no additional funding for that. Mm-hmm. So anyway, it's a unfortunate cycle of they don't care. I mean, it was pretty clear. Rep. Croft got pretty frustrated with me in the meeting, in the hearing, and corrected me that we've spent all this time on both, and they made a commitment to both outcomes, yet they actually aren't making an outcome of either. They're just being reactive.
What's the contempt order they're under, the Mossman? Because they're not.
So the Judge Nelson held the Oregon State Hospital in contempt 2 Fridays ago for failure to bring people out of the jail timely within the 7 days and place them in the hospital. And in that same order, Judge Nelson told the Oregon State Hospital that they are not allowed to pass on the duties of the hospital to counties, which is interesting because House Bill 2005 does that. And so I don't know, again, what an upside down system that is, but it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. They had a work session yesterday afternoon that I hadn't had an opportunity to review, so I don't know what the outcome was yet.
I don't know if we want to get into a legal discussion here, but if they change 2005, they change the statute, then they're basically telling us it's our responsibility. It's a state law.
The federal order is moot for them to tell them that
they can change the statute.
If they say change the statute, we will be evaluating unfunded mandate
Clauses. Yeah.
It's just really not a good scenario. And I used the gentleman from the UGM as a primary example of the system failing over 20 years. DRO filed that lawsuit like 24 years ago, I think it was, against the state hospital. And the gentleman that did this, stabbed all those people at the UGM was in the hospital about that long ago for attempted murder out of Coos County. And deemed, mentally unsound. And now here we are
Here he
again.
is wandering the streets.
Yeah. So anyway, it's been a pretty wild ride. I'm ready for them to get out of that building because all they're doing is causing people harm and costing people money, and it's tragic. So I hope they can get done before the constitutional signee die.
I'm glad you had so much fun. I had a COG board meeting yesterday, budget stuff. So
thanks for doing that.
Yeah, they have been doing some good work, wildfire recovery, helping some of the stuff we've been doing. But that's all kind of winding down for them, so there's a lot of revenue that they were getting that they won't be getting in the future, so it'll be interesting to see how that goes.
Yeah.
There was a 10%, 10%, how do they word it? 10% like fee on top of their services that they're gonna allocate. And then reevaluate it in 6 months and see how that's going and people's services. But what they have been doing was interesting, like Laura, their attorney for the COG, she's been the interim city manager for Aurora now for a while. So they're doing more of that type of work that they did in the past.
Huh.
And then what else? Last night I had a planning commission in Detroit and didn't have a quorum.
Oh, summertime.
So, yeah, we're gonna try it again Tuesday about, I don't need to talk about it here, but it's a Detroit issue. What else happened last week?
I don't know. I can't get past Thursday last week because it feels like it was all yesterday. Got a lot going on. Got a lot going on today and tomorrow. Yeah. So anyway, okay.
all right.
There's nothing else. Thank you. We're adjourned.